tells me something here.
It's showing.
Awesome. It's showing for me also. And let's see. This is good news, certainly. One of my better luck Fridays. Okay. So thank you so much for joining this call here, dear devotees on Zoom, as well as those of you who are watching us on Facebook today. And so you want to tell me which verse from Bhagavad-gita are we going to read?
5.89.
5.89. Wow. Are there 89 verses?
No, Mataji, 8 and 9.
8 and 9. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So let's get started and look at 5.8-9 or 8 and 9. And we'll go there just after these prayers to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padkamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol.
Watch that video yet?
So welcome to the call again, and I see Jaya Mataji is here with us today. Fantastic, Jaya. And then Parul Mataji. Very good, very good. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to read from Bhagavad-gita chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. And what verse did we do last time?
5.7.
Oh no, I'm expecting the words.
Oh,
Yukta,
Vishuddhatma,
Vishuddhatma, Vichitatma,
Jitendriya,
Sarvabhutatma, Bhutatma,
Very nice. Very nice, very nice. So you have that memorized, right? Okay. So let's go for the verse. And what was the meaning of that?
One who works in devotion.
Yoga yukto. What happens to the yoga yukto? Vishuddhatma.
Pure soul. Pure soul.
So what is the meaning of Vishuddhatma?
Pure soul.
Yeah, purified. Yeah. Then what happens?
If he controls his mind and senses.
Vijitatma, Vijitendriya, the one who controls his senses.
Yeah, senses.
Mind and senses. Okay. Okay. Then what happens?
He'll be dear to everyone.
He'll never get entangled.
Sarabhutatma, Bhutatma.
So how come they become dear to everyone?
Everyone is dear to him.
And they are not dear to everyone?
Everyone is dear to him and he is dear to him. Everybody.
Okay, and what's the last line?
Never entangled.
Say that again, Satapa Mataji, I couldn't hear you clearly.
He will be never entangled.
Okay, he'll be never entangled. Okay. So how come he becomes dear to everybody?
Because he controls his mind and senses. He'll be nice.
So let's look at it from the other way. Yeah, that's true. Let's look at it from the other way. What do we do that we become not dear to others? Let's look at that first.
His mind won't be under control. His senses won't be in the control.
That answer you already gave. I'm looking for something more.
No, if he's not dear to.
What is it that people do? When there are two people, why are they not automatically dear to each other? What is it that makes two people not dear to each other? What is it?
And they fight each other. Their mind and senses won't be under control.
That's the same answer, third time you're giving.
No.
Difference in opinion.
Sorry?
Difference in opinion.
Difference in opinion. Okay, that's good. So there's difference in opinion, and that will cause some not being dear to each other, right? I'm Democrat and you're Republican. Okay, what else?
Devotee and non-devotee, different religious paths.
Opinions, right? So it's the same thing, opinions,
Okay.
difference of opinions. Okay. Right.
Not a pure soul.
What else?
Ego, like I-ness, like what do you call it?
Like
Ahankara.
wanting to control or mind, like that?
Yeah,
me, mind?
ahankara.
What I said, Mataji.
What is ahankara?
Ahankara,
Pride.
like, to be
Pride.
able.
False ego.
Yeah.
False ego. No.
I.
But please expand on the I.
It's every time we place ourselves first than others. So that is I always. I want that. I want to do this. I want to go. Means we expect that everything should be happen according to our will.
And that is controlling?
Yes, Mataji. If
Okay. Right.
We like identify more by the body rather than by
Right.
atmas,
Right.
our senses and the body. That is like false ego. Ahankara.
Right. So you see that happens. And then also, like you all said, these are reasons why some people, that there could be friction between people. And you listed quite a few things like, these are the causes of friction. Right. So one is that there'll be difference of opinions. So there could be difference of opinion. But if one of them has got controlled senses and mind, as Vindhyavali Mataji told us 3 times today, you have your control mind, then this will not cause a problem to you, right? Even if there are differences in opinion. So you see, first we have to see what is the root cause of people not being dear to each other. That could also be a contention. Like 2 brothers, they grow up very lovingly as loving brothers, and then they are 25, 30 and they fight. What do you think they fight for?
Property.
Property. Very good, right? So because they both want something that is this want. I want this, I want this, I want this. My mind, me, my I-ness, I am something. Respect me, I am something. Do as I tell you. Those are the reasons that you have contentions and then you're not dear to anybody, right? The 2 brothers who are so dear become undear to each other, right? So, so keep that in mind that when yoga yukto vishuddhatma, he's vishuddhatma, he doesn't have these kinds of cravings in his mind. So there will never be any contention, right? Like you take a bone and you throw it in front of 2 dogs, they'll start fighting, right? Because there's a bone of contention there. But here, they don't care. They like to sacrifice. If there's one chapati, they'll try to give it to the other one. They are like that, merciful. So that is why they become dear to everybody. So becoming dear to everybody is not an easy thing. There's a lot of sacrifices we have to do from our side also. Right? Okay. So are you ready for today's verse?
Yes.
We are not going to memorize it.
Oh, no, it's a big one.
It will take the whole class time to memorize.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's also important words for us to discuss and go deep into it. So, but it's a very musical verse. You can make it your goal to memorize it. Now that you are able to memorize 2 lines, 4 lines in 4 small lines, shorter lines in an hour. So it will take you 2 hours maximum. Less than, I can guarantee you that.
Our class time will be over.
Naiva, no, you do it on your own time. Homework. Naiva kiñcit karomīti yukto manyeta tattva-vit paśyañ śṛṇvan spṛśañ jighrann aśnan gacchan svapañ śvasan pralapan visṛjan gṛhṇann unmiṣan nimiṣann indriya-artheṣu vartanta iti dhārayan. So what do you think about the musicality of this verse?
It looks, words are same. That sounds like what do you call karomīti? No, kiñcit karomīti yukto manyeta. Paśyan paśyan śṛṇvan spṛśañ jighran. Those sounds same. Paśyan śṛṇvan.
What is the sameness there?
Mataji, it's A-N.
Yeah. And
Vartanta.
all ending in paśyañ śṛṇvan jighrann aśnan gacchan svapañ śvasan pralapan visṛjan gṛhṇann unmiṣan nimiṣann indriya-artheṣu vartanta iti dhārayan. So you see, in the middle 4 lines, it's very musical. All paśyañ śṛṇvan spṛśañ jighrann. Okay, so
It
now let's go.
rhymes. It rhymes.
It rhymes. Every word rhymes with the next word. Other than the last line, usually rhymes, but yeah. Okay, so let's look at the synonyms. Na means
Never.
never. Eva means
Certainly.
Certainly.
kiñcit means
Anything.
karomi means
I
do.
do.
I do.
iti means
Does.
yukta means
Engaged with the divine consciousness.
manyeta.
Things.
Okay, so this yukta word, where else did you read this yukta word?
In our last verse.
Last verse.
Yeah, and what was the line there?
Yuktaḥ.
Yukta.
Yoga
Yoga
yukta.
yukta.
Yoga yukta
Yoga
vishuddha.
yukta.
Right. Yukta, engaged in the divine consciousness. Manyeta,
Things.
things. Tattva-vit.
One who knows the truth.
Okay. So in this it's a compound word, right? There are 2 words over there. What are the 2 words here?
Tattva and Vit.
Okay.
Tattva-vit.
Okay. So tell me the meaning of tattva and tell me the meaning of vit.
Tattva is the truth.
Correct. For 500 points. And vit?
Who knows?
Vit means
Who knows? One.
Yeah, knowledgeable, right? One who knows, has knowledge of. Okay, good. One who knows. Paśyañ.
Paśyan is seeing,
śṛṇvan.
Hearing,
hearing,
spṛśañ.
touching,
touching. Okay.
Jighrann.
smelling,
Smelling. Jighrann. Okay.
And not spṛśañ, Mataji. spṛśañ. Jighrann.
Smelling.
Aśnan.
eating.
Okay.
Eating.
Where else do you hear the word aśnan in Bhagavad-gita?
Aśnan. Aśnan.
Aśnan means eating. Give me all the words in Bhagavad-gita that talk about eating. Okay, let's see.
Don't eat too much, don't sleep too much.
No. Yeah, well, of course that is there. Yes. That is Krishna eating. Yeah. But directly about eating.
Oh,
Yat
yeah.
karomi
Yes.
Dasi yat tapasyasi kanteya tat kurushva madarpanam. So what is the thing about eating here?
If you offer me.
No, word I'm looking.
Purushva.
Astasi.
Ashnasi, correct. Okay, so let's go. Aśnan means eating. This is an important word. We should know. Gacchan.
Going.
Going.
Okay. Svapañ.
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
Have you ever dreamed?
Yes.
All right. Śvasan,
Breathing.
breathing. Śvasan.
Shwash, right? From this śvasan word in Sanskrit comes the Hindi word
Shash.
sans, right? Okay. Pralapan means
Talking.
Talking.
visṛjan means
Giving up.
Give,
gṛhṇann means
searching,
Accepting.
accepting.
okay. Unmiṣan means
Opening.
Opening.
Opening,
and nimiṣann means
Closing.
closing.
okay.
Animation.
Api means
Spite of
In spite of
indriya-āṇī means
senses.
the
Senses.
senses.
jighrann means
Jighran?
Jighran.
mm,
Oh, smelling.
smelling. Good. Indriya-artheṣu.
Sense
The
gratification.
sense
That
gratification.
gratification.
Sense gratification. Vartante.
Let them be so engaged.
Them to be so engaged.
Let them be so engaged. Iti.
Does.
Thus,
Dhārayan.
considering.
Considering, right? That's how they think. That's how they consider it to be like that. Okay. So, naiva kiñcit karomīti yukto manyeta tattva-vit paśyañ śṛṇvan. All right. Paśyan means,
To see,
okay. śṛṇvan,
to
Uh,
hear,
Hear.
to hear.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Spṛśañ means,
Touch.
spṛśañ to touch,
no spṛśañ, Mataji. Spṛśañ.
Spṛśañ.
spṛśañ. Okay.
Then jighrann.
Smell.
Smell.
Smelling,
Smelling.
Okay. Remember your nose is jighrann. Okay. Aśnan means,
Eating.
gacchan means,
To walk.
walk.
Walk. Gacchan.
Svapañ.
Dreaming.
Dreaming.
dreaming,
Śvasan.
Breathe.
Breathing.
Shash.
Breathe. Pralapan. We do that all the time.
Talking.
Talking.
Talking. Visṛjan.
Giving up.
All right. gṛhṇann.
Visṛjan.
gṛhṇann.
accepting,
Accepting. Right. So these are opposite. Visṛjan and gṛhṇann are opposites of each other. Okay. Unmiṣan
Opening,
Opening.
and nimiṣann.
and nimiṣann, closing,
closing,
Okay. So these two are
opposite.
opposite. Correct. All right. So unmiṣan nimiṣann api indriya-artheṣu vartanta iti dhārayan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing. What is seeing in Sanskrit?
Paśyañ.
Paśyañ. Very good. Very good. 500 points. Hearing.
śṛṇvan.
Śṛṇvan. śṛṇvatam
Śṛṇvan.
swakatha Krishna. Yeah. Touching.
Spṛśañ.
Spṛśañ.
Sun.
Not
Spṛśañ.
sparsh. Fourth time. Not
Spṛśañ.
sparsh. Spṛśañ. Yeah.
Spṛśañ.
Yeah. Yeah. Smelling.
jighrann,
Jighran.
Yeah. It's a nice word, right? Eating.
Aśnan.
aśnan,
What is moving about?
Aśnan.
aśnan,
Aśnan.
Aśnan.
What is moving about?
Gṛhṇann,
Gut.
gacchan,
Gacchan. Sleeping.
Sleep.
Breathing. We talk about sleeping. Always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving or opening or closing his eyes. So you see, there's not a straight one-to-one correspondence between how Prabhupada is explaining and how the words were given there, right? The evacuating and receiving, right? Evacuating and receiving over here, what is that? Visṛjan is giving up, and that is what Prabhupada is there explaining as evacuating. And gṛhṇann is accepting, right? And he's taking it as receiving. Or opening or closing. Very nice two words were there, opening or closing.
Unmiṣan and
nimiṣann,
Right, but you see how Prabhupada is explaining here. What are you opening and what are you closing? Opening or closing his
Eyes.
Eyes.
eyes, right? So this is very important. And opening of the eyes and closing of the eyes, right? Unmiṣan, nimiṣann.
nimiṣann.
So sometimes the topic, so we keep on blinking all the time, right? And fishes don't have eyelids, so they don't blink. So sometimes when Krishna Katha is happening and people are listening to the Krishna Katha, they are so engaged and engrossed in the Krishna Katha that they forget to even blink their eyes. So they are just like that, listening. And so such listeners are called fish listeners. They're type of the fish, right? So unmiṣan, nimiṣann. So nimish means close. When you blink and close your eyes, that is nimish. So they're never closing the eye. Unmiṣan. They stay in the unmiṣan stage like that. And so the sages in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear that the sages had assembled in a forest called naimisharanya, right? Aranya means? Any Hindi scholars? Aranya means? Forest, correct, right? Aranya means, and so nimiṣaranya. So they were in a forest where they would not blink, where the katha is going on so nicely from Sutta Goswami. He's reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So that nimiṣaranya is the aranya where they were just like that, listening to that, right? So here we are talking about nimiṣann, unmiṣan, nimiṣann api, indriya-artheṣu, vartanta dhārayan, right? So even while he's doing all these kind of activities, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. So a person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
He material sense. He always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. Where does it? I mean, which word is
Aloof?
the meaning of this aloof? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That Prabhupada, when he does the translation, he also there's no one-to-one word translation. Also, you notice here he's using the word synonyms. He doesn't use the word meaning. Okay. So when he's using the word synonyms, when translating from one language to another language, sometimes the nuances are going to be lost, right? So he's saying, well, the closest word in the English language will be the senses to Indriyāṇī, right? Like that. And then in the translation, he will also put in extra words because he's trying to explain those things to us, right? So over here, and that's the Sanskrit language, and also the way our Shastras are written, right? So he's saying that while he's opening, in spite of, right? Api. Indriya-artheṣu, unmiṣan, nimiṣann api, but in spite of all this, he knows that vartanta iti dhārayan. So in spite of all that, he says that this is only touching means that, okay, then he knows that he's aloof. So Prabhupada is, in the translation, he's adding a few more content to it. Then it is one is to one correspondence there. There will never be always a one-to-one correspondence between the words in the synonyms list and what the translation purpose is, because he's trying to explain a little bit more, right? So he has added this thing there, and that he is aloof from them. And this is where the guru comes into picture, right? That is why we will never be able to read the Shastras and understand the Shastras on our own if we sit down and create a computer program where we punch in and write a software which has the meanings of all these words, and then we say, okay, computer, come and tell us the meaning of this verse. It'll just go and blindly, like a monkey, it'll just repeat, like a parrot, it'll just repeat and construct something for us, right? But this nuance, this extra word, the extra phrase that Prabhupada is adding is what the guru brings to you, the inner and the deeper meaning. And that is why they say that, tad-vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattva-darshinaha. Right? So the guru is going to actually tell you a little bit more about that than what you see on the surface. And you notice, right? All of us have read the Bhagavad-gita by ourselves, right? But then we go to these nice devotees, exalted devotees who come and they start talking about Bhagavad-gita, and it's like, oh, right, is it? I read that verse. I never looked at it. I never saw this. So they are chakshur unmilitam, right? So the chakshur unmilitam, opening, is also coming from the word unmiṣan, right? Is opening your eyes. So that is what they do. They open our eyes. The verse is right in front of you. You don't get it? No, I don't get it because I'm foolish, right? And I'm foolish because I'm so much entangled in the material world that I don't have spiritual intelligence. So we do sadhana bhakti and we do practice so that yoga yukto vishuddhatma. So when we become vishuddhatma, then all these things will automatically also come to you. And this is a guarantee as you cleanse our psyche, as we cleanse ourselves, as we cleanse our mind, these verses will automatically come to you without having to sit down and do some rectification or trying to memorize that. Does that help, Parshara Mataji?
Thank you, Mataji. Yes.
Okay. All right. So a person in so purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai for adding that value to the language which is there. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence. Right? A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence. Can you give me for 10,000 points one line in Sanskrit which is telling you this? A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence. Just give me one sentence, Sanskrit sentence. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in existence.
Yoga
Yukta Vishuddhatma.
There you go. My goodness, everybody got 10,000 points. Yeah, Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma, right? We read that yesterday. Okay. So that is what Prabhupada is repeating over here. He's saying a person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence. And consequently, he has nothing to do with any work which depends upon the 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and the fortune. This is because he's engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he's always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Rishikena rishikecha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. What is bhakti? Bhakti is trying to satisfy the senses of Rishikesh. And who is Rishikesh? He is Krishna, the controller of all the senses in this world. Right? So we try to satisfy his senses. And once we satisfy his senses, our senses get satisfied themselves. Right? So the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses, meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are the actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord. Okay, so very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada, and we'll talk a little bit more on this one. And so again, as you see over here, Prabhupada is using the word evacuating, right? What does it mean? What is the meaning of evacuating? English. Evacuate. You evacuate a house, right?
Empty.
Remove, right? Remove something, right? So evacuate, you know, there was floods, people had to be evacuated, or you lost a case and you had to evacuate it from a house that you were renting and things like that, right? So evacuate, basically to remove something, is known as evacuating. Now, Prabhupada is using that word, and then, you know, as we dwell more and listen to kathas from others, we will see, you know, there's a deeper meaning to that, right? And he's also bringing in the senses meant for receiving knowledge. Can you tell me what are the senses meant for receiving knowledge?
Hearing and
Hearing,
I want to
seeing,
hearing and
hearing and seeing.
Is that all? Do you have only 2 senses?
No,
Huh?
hearing and seeing and touching.
Only 3?
Smelling.
How many you have?
And
Smelling.
smelling, correct. All 5 senses, Mataji, help us.
Right, there are 5. There are 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. Where is our dear Vindhyavali Mataji? Vindhyavali Mataji. Yeah, which is that famous song that you like so much about 5 senses? You asked for it last week.
What is that?
Which one is that?
I suddenly am not. That word, that rhythm words. I don't know.
Which one? Yeah. Who said that for 500 points?
Me, Mataji.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we go there and we share the screen again and bring up. Now Vindhyavali Mataji will remember.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Kuranga, matanga, patanga.
matanga, patanga, maringa.
Meena hata pancha rireva pancha. Panch, right? The 5 senses. So Prabhupada is talking about the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. And and what he's saying is that indriya-artheṣu vartanta iti dhārayan, right? And so what he's saying is vartante means let them be so engaged. Who is being engaged? The senses are being engaged. What are being engaged in? They are engaged with their objects, right? So let's stop over here and look at our 5 senses. Okay. And we are going to divvy up the 5 senses among the first 5 that have got their videos open, right? So Vindhyavali Mataji, just give us 1 sense, not more than 1, okay? 1 sense. 5 is too much. Just give me 1 sense. 1 sense. You don't want to give? Okay. So Sukamaladi Mataji, give me 1 sense.
They're not working now.
1 sense, Sukamaladi Mataji.
Seeing.
Seeing. Okay. Are you going to hold on to seeing?
Yeah.
Please. Okay.
Hearing.
Varshana Mataji. Okay, hearing.
Hearing.
Okay. So Vindhyavali Mataji took hearing. Sukal Mataji took seeing.
Seeing.
Okay. And then Varshana Mataji?
Smelling.
Smelling. What was the Sanskrit for smelling today? Very nice.
Jighrann.
Jighrann. Okay.
Jighran.
Yeah, so you're jighrann for now. Sutapa.
Tongue.
What is tongue?
Tasting.
Taste.
Tasting.
Tasting. Okay. So that's sense organ, tongue with taste. Okay. Eye. Okay. So you're talking about the sensing part of it, and then also remember the organ that you're using. Okay. And then we come to Simi Mataji. Sutapa, did you take something?
Yes, Mataji. Taste.
Okay. Taste you. Oh, yeah, the tongue you took, right? Okay. And then Simi, which is the 5th one?
What is taken, Mataji? Smelling, seeing, hearing, tasting.
So what is taken? Tell me, Vindhyavali, what do you have? What did you take?
Mine is, wait a minute, what did I say? Smell? No. Hearing.
Write it down. Write it down. You have a pencil in your hand?
Yes,
Write it down.
hearing.
Yeah, write it down because we'll come back again. Okay. So Kumal Mataji, what did you have?
Seeing.
Okay, Varshana Mataji.
Jighran. Smelling.
Okay, Sutapa.
Tasting. Tongue.
Okay, then what is remaining?
I'm thinking.
Touching.
Touching.
Touching, right? Okay. So what he's saying is that these are our knowledge acquiring senses, right? So let's talk about the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, which are beautiful, sitting right in front of me on the Zoom call, right? Each one of you have taken that 1 sense and you have a sense organ. Okay. Now the sense is the sense of touching, the sense of, the knowledge you acquire, right? Touching, then there is seeing, okay? Like that, tasting, you're acquiring knowledge, seeing, and then hearing, like that, right? So those are what you're doing, okay? The knowledge you're acquiring. But what is the organ that you use, right? So starting from Vindhyavali Mataji again, what is the sense organ that you use for hearing? That's what you are, right? The ear. Okay. So Kumal Mataji, the sense organ.
The eye.
Eye. Varshana Mataji.
The nose. Smelling.
Okay. Yeah, please write down in front of yourself. Okay. Sutapa.
Tongue.
Tongue. And Simi Mataji. For touching.
Skin.
The skin. Right? Yeah. So you notice that there is a sense and then there is a sense organ. Okay. So the indriya is the organ. Right? Now, let us see that you have an eye and you are saying that with the eye, I am going to see. That's what Sukumal Mataji said. Okay. Now, what are you going to see? Right? What you are going to see is known as the object of that sense. Right? So Sukumal Mataji, object of sense basically means you're trying to find a form. Okay. Similarly, smelling, the nose will try to find the aroma of something. Okay. Like that, the taste of something, so on and so forth. Okay. So what this verse is saying is that a person knows that while I'm sleeping, while I'm smelling, not sleeping, when I'm smelling, when I'm seeing, like that, He's saying that all that is happening is that the senses are touching the sense objects. What that basically means is that, what is that? I had an eye, and the senses extend out of your body. So eyes don't pop out, but the sense goes out of the body and is able to see and decipher a form. It goes and touches the form. They're actually very sticky. They're very sticky. Like, you see a boy sees a beautiful girl and, he's walking on the street, and every time he'll keep on turning back and looking at her, right? Senses, they do that, right? So the senses go and engage with the sense object. So he's just saying that Martha Sparshastu Konteya Sitoshun Sukha Dukkada. Krishna also says that in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, that all this is that happening is just the senses are going and touching their sense object. You have to understand that, very, very important, that your sense organ and your sense is going to touch only that sense object that it is supposed to touch. So what I mean is that Sukomal Radhimati took seeing, the sense of seeing, and she, with the eyes, she can touch and decipher a form, right? Similarly, Varshana Mataji took smelling, right? So the sense organ nose will do the sense of smelling, and what is going to touch is the various aromas. Okay, so now imagine that Sukumal Radhe Mataji, Varshana Mataji, is the smelling part. Sukumal Radhe Mataji is the eyes part of it. Now, when Sukumal Radhe Mataji closes her eyes, right, can her senses touch the sense object?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After you close your eyes?
Yes, because you are smelling from the...
She is eyes. Sukumal Radhe Mataji is eye.
Oh.
She closed her eye.
No, she cannot.
No.
She cannot see, right? She closed her eye, she cannot see. So her sense organ, because of the nimiṣann, because she closed that eyelid, she cannot see. So now her senses cannot touch the sense organ, because the only way to see something for us is through the eyes. Okay?
And Mataji, once you see the thing, that image is formed in your mind, and you are still seeing.
Okay, then what does that prove?
That it's already captured.
Okay, and is that what seeing means?
No, it's actually
No.
seeing with your eyes.
Well, seeing with your eyes, and also like, you capture an image at a point in time. If the object is moving, then you won't see that, because all that your mind had captured as a picture in the mind is that the person was standing here. Like, now if I go like this, but before I went like this, you close your eyes, you won't know that, right? So your senses have to be engaged in the sense, right?
So Mataji, like if we are seeing something, and if we stop seeing that particular thing, like an apple or a person, then we will forget that.
No, actually you don't forget. You don't forget. It gets, as Varshana Mataji was saying, you form a picture in your mind. It gets stored. How long?
For lifetime.
At least for some time.
At least for some time?
As long as you're...
Lifetime?
As long as that...
Yes, because if I see a person like 5 years back and I am not seeing that person anymore, so I know how he or she looks like. So that's captured.
In the subconscious mind, the image is stored, Mataji.
Correct. Yeah, for 10,000 points. Images never go away. And how long? Now the question is.
I think at least for the lifetime. After that, I don't know.
Why do you don't know?
After that, the mind, of course, goes with us.
As long as mind is active.
Then if you're saying the mind, of course, goes with us, then why are you not able to answer that question?
That carries it carries with it. So it stays as long as the soul is there. Soul doesn't die. Soul
Forever.
stays with us.
Yeah, it stays forever. So pictures stay with you forever because utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam vagunanvitam. Right? When he steps in the body or he steps out of the body, he always, he just, as if he is just stepping out of body and entering into another one. And what goes with him? The mind. Right? Yeah. The subtle body goes. Till the subtle body is not demolished, then anything that you saw will remain. Now the question is, and she used a very nice word, Varshanamata, she said subconscious. So the images are there in the subconscious. They have to be brought into the conscious side for you to remember. Right? And if they are, but my question was not whether you're able to remember it or not. My question was storage. So be very careful about the words, right? So for how long is it stored? Forever. Till you attain liberation and you drop your material body and get a spiritual one. Right? Till such time, it will remain.
But Mataji, old age, okay? Our brain, we are living, okay? But suppose for me, I am living. But if you ask me suddenly that sloka you asked me, I didn't remember right away. So what is that then? The mind
subconscious.
is not...
Yeah, because you're putting your thing. See, what happens is that when you've got your memory, we don't talk brain here. We talk about memory and mind. So in your memory, this is getting stored, right? Like last week, it was stored in your memory. And the sloka is in your memory. You're not able to retrieve it quickly, right? That is what happened with you, and the others were able to retrieve it, right? So what happens is when the information is pushed to the subconscious mind in order to make space for more things that you're trying to cram into your main mind, right? When it goes in subconscious mind, it takes some time to retrieve it from there, bring it to your conscious, and then present it like that. So that causes the delay. Subconscious. That's what Varshanamataji said, right? Subconscious mind. So again, going back. So Sukamal Radhe Mataji, if she closes her eye, right? Her senses are not able to touch the sense object. So she's not able to see any of the forms inside the room, right? There's a chair, which has a form. There's a picture behind her. There's a form. There's a clock behind her. There's a form, right? Like that. She's not able to see it. So it is happening because her eyes are touching the sense object, which is form, right? On the other hand, Varshana Mataji, she's all jighrann. She smell. So with the sense of smell, which is nose, suppose, imagine that Varshana Mataji is only nose and Sukamal Mataji is only eye, right? So although Sukamal Radhe, the moment Sukamal Mataji closes the eye, right, she cannot see any forms. But on the other hand, Varshana Mataji also cannot see the form. Why? Because she has only nose. So a nose can only contact with
Smell.
the aroma, right? Aroma. Right? So she will be able to tell you this sounds like rose, it sounds like chameli, it sounds like, this, it smells like that, it sounds, like that. Okay? So this yogi, a yoga yukto, Vishuddha-atma, he knows that all this, what is happening is that this just sense is just going and touching that object and presenting something to me. And this other sense, catch something, then śṛṇvatam, If I close my ears and I open my eyes, I still won't be able to hear the words because this organ is not touching its object. So it's very important for the senses to touch their sense object to be able to gather the knowledge, right? And what was the knowledge? If you're hearing, whether it's somebody singing beautifully or not, the man or woman, the words, right? And eyes will tell you the form, right? Man, woman, animal, chair, table, beautiful, black, white, red, all that. The eye is going to gather that information. Similarly, ear is going to gather that information, right? So on and so forth. The touch will tell you hot, cold, like that. So these are knowledge acquiring senses. Okay. Then there are working senses. Okay. Now, what are the working senses that we have?
Hands.
Okay, good. Legs. Okay. How come you have so few senses? I'm supposed to have 5. So 2, yeah.
Hands, legs.
Tongue.
Okay, good.
Taste, touch. Again, touch will come, no? Yeah, touch too.
What do you do with the touch? What work is the skin able to do?
Skin.
These are working senses.
Skin.
What work is the skin doing?
touch,
Feel.
spṛśañ,
Huh?
Feel.
feel. No.
No.
Is it work? It's feeling. It's knowledge acquiring.
Knowledge.
Skin is acquiring the knowledge, right? Tongue is a working sense. Why? Why is tongue a working sense?
Tasting.
Eating.
No,
It is-
no, not
is
tasting.
eating.
Tasting is our knowledge acquiring.
Talking.
What's the other thing the tongue does?
You speak, Mataji.
Speaking. Yeah, it talks. Right, right. Yeah. Right? So tongue has dual purpose. It's a knowledge acquiring sense as well as a working sense. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, what more? What more? So you got
Yeah.
3.
Genital,
Mm-hmm. And
Digestion.
yeah, or excretory system.
Excretory, yeah.
System, right? And now if we go back to our verse here for the for the translations that Prabhupada has given, right? So here they were talking about visṛjan, giving up, right? So visṛjan, giving up, what did he say here? Evacuating, right?
Yeah.
And evacuation you do through your excretory system. Okay. So now let's go back to our working senses. And so a guy is saying that when I'm doing all that, this is just, because I'm this body and this body will do things like this. A body will, yeah, right? So let's go back again to the verse and we'll go through this, the musical part of the verse, and we'll see which sense organs are being utilized there, right? So we'll just do a few of them just so that you have an idea. So paśyañ,
Seeing.
Seeing,
seeing,
Paśyañ, śṛṇvan.
śṛṇvan,
Hearing.
hearing,
That's mind.
spṛśañ.
Touching.
No,
Touching.
tell me the organ.
Oh, skin.
Skin, jighrann,
nose,
nose, smelling,
aśnan,
Tongue.
Mouth.
eating,
mouth or
tongue.
eating or tongue. Yeah. Gacchan. Now gacchan.
walk,
Now what is happening?
gacchan,
Gacchan means
Legs
are being used. So now you see up until here, paśyañ, śṛṇvan, spṛśañ, jighrann, aśnan, these were all knowledge acquiring senses, right? And then gacchan is now the working senses are being used, right?
yes, legs.
Gacchan, walking. Okay, now here's the question. Svapañ. Svapañ
Dream.
means
mind, dreaming.
Okay. So then which sense is involved in dreaming?
It's the mind, isn't it?
Mind, Mataji, yeah.
There you go. So you see, so if I were to ask you a question, the mind is a knowledge acquiring sense or is it a working sense? What will you say?
Both.
Both.
And why would you say both?
Because it works the other way and this way also.
Tell me the other way and this way.
So in your dreaming, you're in your subconscious.
Subconscious and
So that's when the mind is working.
What is the mind doing? What work is the mind doing?
thinking.
Dreaming.
The things
Dreaming.
that you dream about is the mind.
What action is that? Right?
Storing, subconscious. Storing.
Subconscious is not an active. It's not a verb.
Storing.
Like just like we discussed what are the images what we captured and that
So what is the mind doing? I'm asking for a
Storing.
word. Tell me, what is it doing?
Storing.
Storing,
It has a
exactly.
stored.
Storing, okay. And after storage, you store it throughout the day, then what happens in the night?
It's
It's
released.
You dream about it.
It's retrieving all that, retrieving particular sections of it, right? And then presenting it into a nice, interesting or a scary manner in the form of a dream, right? So you see there is antahkarana. So there is the subtle body also comes into picture. Eyes are capturing information. They're gathering. They gather the knowledge about a particular object, and that storing is done by the mind. So mind is very active. It's a working sense. Manashashtani indriya-artheṣu prakriti sani karshati. Right? So all these things that are happening. So when a person is just going to think and is going to say that, all this is happening because the senses are just touching their sense object, right? They're touching the sense object and sometimes gathering the sense knowledge, and sometimes based on the knowledge that is gathered, it will do some work also, right? For example, can you give me an example of how starting from one sense, you can go and engage all the senses, 10 of them? Tell me. Give me some, let's come up with a situation. Start with some idea and we'll go through all the 10 senses. Choose any sense that, just engage one of your senses in any sense object and we'll go from there. And we'll see how it moves.
With eyes, I saw.
With eyes, you saw.
I saw
Okay.
a form.
You saw a
And
form. Okay,
then
now.
My legs started working, going towards that.
Towards that. Why?
Towards that, because I want to touch it, see it, touch it closely.
Okay. Okay, so then you go there.
And then I go there, my legs.
So which sense are you using? Okay.
My
Then.
legs.
Okay.
Then I'm using my hands to touch it. To
Okay.
see I want to touch the form.
Okay.
And then I touch the skin. I'm
Okay.
using the skin also.
Okay, so
And
skin on the
then,
hands. Yeah. Yeah.
On the hands. I'm using that. And then, Mataji, my mind comes, I'm enjoying to touch that. And now next, I don't know.
If it is a flower, my nose will act in that, it's smelling.
Correct. Correct. And then your hand could pick up the flower and then you can walk and give it to somebody. And you can say, here you are, good morning. See, all your senses talking, right? So you see how your senses are being
Engaged.
senses are being engaged, right? And the interesting thing is that whether they are working senses or whether they are knowledge acquiring senses, you have pran vayu, right, in your body.
Yes.
And it is all these pran vayus which will make these sense organs also work. So we had talked about 5 kinds of airs, prana, saman, upan, vayan, and all that, right? So they are engaged in using, for example, primary ones, like the upward going downward, right? Downward inhale, upward exhale, right, outside like that, right? And then we also saw that there are, and then, there is, I think saman is used for digestion. So whatever is happening inside your karomīndriya, the digestive tract, going all the way to excretion. So how come poop comes out of your body like that in the morning? How come it gets pushed out? There is air inside the digestive tract that is pushing it out. So there is air everywhere. And that is known as pranavayu. So pranavayu is taking care of everything that is happening in this body. So some of them are, through 5 main pranavayus, and then others we don't know that much, but they are kind of like secondary in the sense that when you open your eyes, there is an air that flicks it open. And when you close it, there's another air that pushes it down to close it, right? So there is pranavayu that is constantly involved in doing all these things that you do outside with your karmendriyas and with your gānendriyas, right? And then there is a 6th indri inside, that's mind, right? And the mind also feeds on the prana that you breathe. That's why in meditation, sometimes they tell you, stop breathing for 10 minutes or not 10 minutes, 30 seconds. And so when you stop breathing, then the mind also stops thinking because the mind needs the air to be able to do its activities. So that's why they will say, hold your breath, 2 minutes, right? Like that, they will tell you. So a yogi is just looking at it, understands. Why? Because yogi is tattva-vit. Why is the yogi tattva-vit? Because he went to those who know the truth and he took that information from them. Right? Like how Narad Muni went to those sages who were staying there, right? And he went and served them and he got the knowledge, right? From them. So you will go and get the knowledge. So a person who knows all that, he says that, okay, fine, I know, I don't have to. So this is just, I have a body, I'm not this body. And this is how this body is operating. It just, these are senses. They are always reaching out. They're roaming like your cell phone, right? Goes to room and looking at connection. Where is the wireless connection? Where is the closest cell I can connect, and your battery is discharged. Same thing happens with us also. The soul's battery gets discharged by thinking foolishly that I'm the body. And then because the senses are going here and there, to think that I am this sense. And then, so the interesting thing about this sense is that, and the sense organs actually, is that it will make the abominable. This is one of our acharyas tell us. It'll make the abominable. Abominable means?
Which should not be done, abandoned kind of things.
Yeah, I hate it. It should be hated, right? But one should be hated. So it makes the abominable appear to be adorable to you. Right? For example, we go and see a very cute little puppy is wagging his tail, like you pick it up, kuchiku, and you kiss the puppy. I've seen that people doing it, right? So quite adorable. But if you look 10 minutes ago where the puppy had put the mouth in the gutter, right? And the puppy's skin, if you look at that beautiful curly golden hair the puppy has, like it's full of lice, fleas. So is it really adorable or is it abominable, right? But the senses are like that. The eyes, because our senses are imperfect, our senses will not be able to see the lice in the fleas in the dog's body that nicely, right? So we will pick it up and cuddle the puppy. That's what the senses do.
It's not the same for everybody, Mataji. If I say
some are yogis, yeah.
If I say something is beautiful or person, some other person says, no, she's not that beautiful.
Correct. And that depends on your consciousness. That depends on your consciousness, yeah. That's correct, yeah.
But one thing amazing, Mataji, today I realized that how are all the senses so interrelated that
they are. It's a team.
With the small breathing, it helps everything. Once it is gone, when it's once, everything is stopped.
Yeah, the moment the pranavayu goes away, then no unmiṣan, nimiṣann, no opening and closing of the eyelids. They're closed or they remain open, depending on when you choose to leave the body.
That's really what Krishna's, Krishna, how he arranged. Sometimes I think if I see the brain picture inside, how much he must have done, the work in the brain, the small things and just how much he did.
Correct. Yes. And we sometimes when we are making something, for example, you know how to stitch a blouse, for example, right? And so we have been stitching blouses, and it's my paśyañ, like my
profession.
Is paśyañ in English? I'm forgetting the word.
Profession,
right? It's my profession, and I do that, right? But then we say, okay, can you make a DT for my Laddu Gopal? Can you make a dress for my Laddu Gopal? Oh, it becomes a nightmare. How do I make such a small thing? How to make a small mukha? I can't do that. Yeah, at least has got to be this much of size, and I'll be able to do it. This is too tiny, I can't, right? But look at Krishna, like there's a circulatory system in the human body, there's a circulatory system in the elephant, and there would be some circulatory system in an insect also.
Yeah.
Done so precisely.
I was just thinking it is just like a SIM card. You see the mind God has put in, and it is working all over.
Yeah. Yes, it is a SIM card. Right. So, yeah. And by the way, if you are thinking that Krishna does all that, Krishna doesn't do all of that. Krishna makes Brahma to do this. So all this construction happens from Brahma.
Small ant has that much brain in where I always see small ant and where the eyes are. I cannot see.
They're better than your eyes, yeah. Yeah, because they can see in all the directions, yeah. Yeah.
That's really amazing. Even
yeah.
And they are so sharp, Mataji. These ants, you just pick up. I remember as a small child, used to pick up slowly with the stick and keep it on some other place.
Jump.
They used to walk and enter the same lane, you see. Yeah. It was amazing, you see. They don't lose their path. They go in that path only.
Exactly. So the interesting thing is that, so a jnani will understand that I have nothing to do with them. An interesting story that Srila Prabhupada tells is that about a very rich man in Calcutta. I think it was a big, rich businessman in Calcutta, and he was dying. He was dying, and the doctor said that you have few days to live. And so he turned to the doctor and said, I'll give you as much money as you want, but extend my life by another 6 months because I have got some projects that I need to finish. And doctor said, no, we can't do that. Right? So and ultimately he died, right? Whenever he had to die. So there are projects in our life that consume us, right? I'm in the middle of this thing, but if I die, then it's gone. The project in which I had put all my 5 jnanendriyas and all my 5 karmendriyas, hopefully not, I put them all in that project, and then I die. Immediately, connection is gone, you know.
That's why we think.
Then you realize that, oh, this was my life and soul. I was spending 20 hours in this particular project, and then it is nothing. But the jnanis, the tattva-vits, the yogis, they understand that in this life itself. So he is liberated in this life itself, right? He will continue to do all the things. It's not that he will, so there is, because you are in a body, there is some dharma that you have to follow. For example, you have to get up and you have to evacuate. You have to eat and you have to excrete. Those 2 things you have to do. If you don't do it, then you cannot survive, right? So that is the basic that you have to do. And then on top of that, there are some etiquettes that you have to take a bath. Right? So that is also a dharma, but not to that level and a degree as, you know, eating is, because you have to eat to survive. Even if you don't take a bath, you will survive for some time at least, like that. Was there a question there?
No, Mataji, you answered in this conversation only. That
okay.
My mind came. You see, I was just thinking that person was doing a project for 20 hours. And you see, prana, you goes and he dies. And now he takes the birth of an ant. Now that project is over. That project will not be with that person.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I meant. Right? But we have to also remember that if you're too attached, lipyate, we've heard the word lipyate last time, right? So if he's too attached to doing that particular project, right? Then they come back again to finish it. They'll be born in the same family, they'll be born as a neighbor or in a similar thing, and they come back, right? That is why we say that attachment is a very, you know, dangerous thing to have. That's why they're always saying, don't get attached, don't get attached, don't get attached, right?
That is a jet birth, that deer.
I thought we only carry whatever spiritual transcendental activities we have done, we carry that.
No,
but
no. You carry everything in your mind. Remember, we talked about mind is as a karmendriya is storing all that information. From how long? Since time immemorial.
Long time.
And we forget about that. When we take a birth, everything is forgotten. But somebody close to you remembers. Who is that somebody close to you who remembers?
Paramatma.
The super soul.
Paramatma, exactly. And can you give me a verse? Who gives you memory?
Krishna.
Oh, verse.
15:15.
Give me the verse. You are very miserly. You don't give me verses easily. Give me the whole verse. Sarvasya.
Apohanam cha
Very nice, right? So Krishna remembers. So a person in the body, in the next body, will forget everything, right? But Krishna is remembering everything. He's there. And where is all this information stored? In which database? Is the mind's database it's stored. So it's there. Where is the mind? In the heart. Who else is there in the heart? The soul. Who else is there in the heart? The super soul. All of them are there in vicinity to each other, right? So Krishna will know, and at a suitable time, he will revive his memory. So that is why you will see that sometimes, you know, people look at each other and they don't like each other. It's all coming from the previous impressions that you have in your mind. That's why sometimes you take an instant dislike to somebody or an instant liking for somebody also, Sometimes it is this reason. Sometimes it could just be, Martha Sprashastu Konteya, eyes got, a beautiful form and we have instant like for that. That's a different thing, right? But sometimes you see how you go to office and from some people you are more pally-pally, you work together, you work nicely and all that. So there's a lot that is going on, coming from the previous impressions also that are there. Actually in Brahma Samhita, Brahma has this previous impressions of creating. That impression is that I have to create, but doesn't know how to create it, right? So he starts walking down the stem and then walking back up, and then he hears the word tapa, and then he starts doing the tapa, and then Krishna, comes and meets him and then gives him the 4 Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, and he knows how to create again. And that's what Brahma does. So here there was a mention of there are 5 factors to an action, right? So our Bhagavad-gita chapter 18 actually talks about that. Let me bring up the verse from chapter 18 and I'll flash it on the screen here for you. So think about pretty early in the chapter. Okay, let's bring this up here. So share the screen. Tell me, can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhascha prithak cheshta devam che bhatra panchamam. So he's saying the place of action, which is the body. And what is a body? It's the 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas. You club them together, the body is formed. The performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action, right? So you see the body, they have kind of separated that from the senses. The word adhisthana refers to the body. The soul within the body is acting to bring about the results of activity and is therefore known as karta, the doer. That the soul is the knower and the doer is stated in the Shruti, Esha hi drishta srishta, from Prashna Upanishad 4.9. It is also confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra by the verses yukta eva and karta shastartha vat. And the instruments of action are the senses, and by the senses, the soul acts in various ways. For each and every action, there is a different endeavor. But all one's activity depend on the will of the super soul who is seated within the heart as a friend. The Supreme Lord is the super cause. Under these circumstances, he who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the super soul situated in their heart is naturally not bound by any activity. Those in complete Krishna consciousness are not ultimately responsible for their actions. Everything is dependent on the supreme will of the super soul, the supreme personality of the Godhead. So it is very interesting that, I have got the body is there, the soul is there, who's going to will, right? I want to do this, right? So then the sense will do it. So the performer, so the body is there, the performer is the soul, the various senses are there, and different kinds of endeavors, right? So I want to eat an apple, right? So that want has come, apple, I want to eat. So a soul is going to do that, right? The thinking part of it. Then the various senses, I will be in God, go open the refrigerator, see where the apple is, stretch your hand to open the refrigerator, use your legs to walk to the refrigerator, right? Right? So these are the various senses which will be involved, but they have to do something. Like just because the fact that I have got legs over here, the apple is not going to come and enter into my mouth, right? I have to walk. So that's the endeavor that they're talking about. I have to walk. I have to open the refrigerator. I have to take a knife. I have to cut it, right? And then ultimately the super soul, ultimately there is a super soul. So remember, you also keep that in mind that although we might do all of the first 4 activities, I have got a body, I am a soul, I can will, I have got legs, I can go walk, I've got hands, I can go and cut, and I can open my mouth and try to put an apple inside it. But unless and until the Supreme Lord does not sanction it, it will not happen. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes, Mataji.
Did it ever happen with you?
Yes, Mataji.
Would you like to share it? You would like to share with us?
Yes, Mataji. I tell you, Mataji, I cooked something really nice and about to eat. And I got a phone call saying that my mom-in-law passed away. Everything was left there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sad.
The other day, only only on Tuesday night, Mataji. From morning till evening, we did everything, worked everything. I cooked food. I made, he asked me, what have you cooked? I said, whenever you have food outside in the afternoon, you always tell me I'll have rice and curd. So I cooked only dal. I didn't cook anything else. So he made a long face. Immediately I went and cooked some paneer for him. And Mataji, I'm talking on the phone and he comes and tells me, leave the phone alone. Look at me. Anything happening to me? I think nothing. You are looking normal. No, my tongue is going. He tells me. I said, but your right side face is swollen. And he tells my hands are tingling. My leg is tingling. I'm feeling, and there are some sparks in my head. My God, what has happened? Immediately, I called up the doctor, took him to the hospital, admitted him there. And luckily, Mataji, everything went. Nobody could eat that food, Mataji. We went to the hospital. So this, recently happened. Today also, Mataji, today he'll be discharged. Everything is normal, under control, everything. So, but Mataji, how things, you see, I specially made paneer for him and he could not even taste it.
Yeah.
So this is how things happen.
Yeah.
And it was really, Mataji, that day was for a few hours, we were under a lot of stress that time. But as the things progressed, within 4 hours, 6 hours, I came to know that he is under control and he's in the hands of doctors. And now I don't have to worry. So I came back home at 2:00 at night, but he's fine with God's grace, Mataji.
God is great, doctors done, but God is great. And
yes.
He is the one he did it.
He's in safe hands. So I was
Yes,
not
that is what, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing the story. And I'm glad your husband is well. Yeah, so this is what the verse from today is saying. And Prabhupada, he talked about the 5 factors. The ones that are listed in the Bhagavad-gita are slightly different from what he's saying, but he listed fortune also to be one of them, right? So one of the questions that people then ask is that if Krishna is the one who's sanctioning, and when I'm about to do something bad and Krishna sanctions that, then why am I going to be punished? He sanctioned it.
He will watch that whether what you are doing and your karma has to, and whatever he tried to, but your what do you call, how can I explain that? Because of your own deeds, you want to do it, then he leaves you. What you can decide. Then he won't interfere at that time. So that's what my belief is, Mataji. See, when we do bad things, we cannot say anything about Krishna, because good thing is, when he does good things, we don't thank him either. When something bad happens, why he did it to me? But that his whole thing is like what our senses does, and he won't interfere with that. That's what
Does he ever interfere?
Huh?
Does he ever interfere?
No, I don't think so. Because if you do
Our
good,
free will.
free will, that's what I thought.
That's a free will?
He will leave it to us.
No, Mataji, he interferes in
He
our
interferes?
activities.
Okay, when does he interfere?
When he knows that he is my child, he is my devotee, and he is going through this thing, and then Lord immediately interferes and changes our mind and makes the thing do the way he wants us to do. So Mataji, he interferes. Like you say, Arjuna, he told
So
Arjuna,
in which cases he will interfere? In which cases he will interfere? In which cases he will not? Namazya has raised her hand. Let's see if she wants to say something.
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. I think he's interfered and I'm very emotional. So when happen things to you and you are a devotee of Krishna and you going through a process, a very painful process, and you're thinking, I will not go through this. But you pray to Krishna every day and you don't understand how, but he gives you the power to go on. And he's always with you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. It happens, Mataji.
Yeah. So what happens is that what he's gauging actually, we talked about free will, right? So you had a free will, you thought, I want this, he's watching, and you are doing it, and but before it can fructify, he will sanction. And for everything that you want, he'll sanction it, whether it's good or bad. So he's just a sanctioning person for a normal human being, right? And then because you were the sole person who thought about that, right? You were the one who started it all, then you suffer the good or the bad, depending on the good or the bad, right? However, when you surrender is the opposite of free will. When you surrender to the Supreme Lord, right? When you surrender to the Supreme Lord, then he takes your life in his hands.
Takes over. Yes.
Because you're surrendered. Where is the question of free will? You're surrendered. Right? That is when he will start interfering. That's why he said, Sarv dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshisyami ma suchaha.
Abandon everything and just surrender.
Come to me.
Mataji, how we know we have surrendered? We surrender.
How will you know? It's a practice that you have to do constantly, listening to your mind and negating your mind, and then leaving things. It'll be a practice. For example, Draupadi.
Right? You just leave it to him.
Yeah, but then not everybody leaves it to God. When they're not able to do something, they start cursing everybody around them. Right? So to accept that whatever is happening to me, tattenukampam susamekshamano bhunjanamevatmakritam vipakam hitvagavapubhe vitadannamaste jive tayo mukti sadhaya bhav. Right? So he just thinks whenever bad things are happening, says, Krishna, this is your mercy. You have reduced it, the sentence on me. Right? Not focusing on the results. Right? Karmaneva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Do your acts. Do not focus on the result. Let Krishna will do. Teri marzi, O Data, teri marzi.
And Mataji, back to the free will thing. Then, if we are not the doer, Krishna is the doer.
No, there are 5 factors to an action. You can't absolve yourself. You are the one who started it, right? You are the one who started it. For example, talking about the doer, right? If I say that, okay, Simi Mataji, I come to your home and you say, okay, I'm going to make you some very nice chocolate milk. You like it hot or you like it cold? So I say, no, make it hot. I like hot, right? So then you are there and you're doing something in the kitchen, and I walk over and I said, okay, what are you doing? Yeah, Mataji, I'm boiling the milk. So milk is in the heater, milk is on the stove, and I can see milk is boiling. But are you boiling the milk really?
Yes.
Is the milk being boiled because of you?
Heat, because of the heat.
Because of the heat. So you see, there are factors involved. Okay, but where is the heat coming from?
From the gas stove.
From the gas stove, right? Who switched it on?
You.
So you see, the doer, right. If you had not switched it on, so you see how the doership comes, that the other thing cannot happen. You have to switch it on. The gas has to be switched on. So that way, you have to find out, there will be several factors over there. And, but the soul is the one who's willing it. The soul is the one who said, I want to boil the milk. And then there are factors that are involved. The body was involved because he walked.
When we are doing something, Mataji, I know I am doing, I I know how to cook this one, I will cook it. I think that I know everything. So who knows, I might put less salt.
Right. Yeah, but because Krishna brings that forgetfulness into you. Krishna is bringing that forgetfulness inside you, where you're saying that, I remember everything. I know how to cook. And then suddenly, you don't have... I can tell you what happened to me once when we had the new temple. We had just moved into a new temple and things in the kitchen were a little bit not organized. So things were just kept one next to each other. All the ingredients were kept next to each other. And one of my god sisters was cooking. She was making upma or something like that. And it was a Saturday. So I walked into the kitchen and I was like, hey, she's just making upma, but there should be some sweet. After all, you're offering prasadam. There should be something sweet. So I know how to make halwa. I'll make some halwa. So then I brought some suji and all that. I started, frying it. And then we both, said like, let's make it even more yummy. Let's use milk instead of the
Water.
Instead of the water. So I said, okay, fine. So then she said, okay, mix it. And, I brought the sugar, added the sugar, then I brought the milk. And then as soon as I added the milk, it all became, sour. And then I don't know, so what has happened over there? And then I said, oh, maybe the milk was bad. Right? Then I said, okay, fine. We will present it to people as paneer halwa. So we went, offered it to the Lord and offered it to the people. So we were in the kitchen cleaning, etc. Everything was there. And then Hari Sangitna Prabhu runs inside the kitchen and he said, Mataji, there's salt in the halwa. Like, oh my goodness. Because everything was haphazard, it was not labeled, and salt and sugar look alike, right? So sometimes when there is too much in the head, like I'm a very wonderful halwa maker, I can make halwa in 5 minutes. Fantastic. Let's give it. Krishna will then show you the way immediately, instantly, by giving you that focus. So eyes did not, the sense organs, the eyes did not engage properly. That's why he will control your senses. That's why he says, Rishikena, Rishikesha. Rishikesha, he's the controller of your senses also. If he doesn't want you to see, you won't be able to see, even if the thing is right in front of your eyes.
Mataji, can we surrender our free will to Krishna?
That is what surrender is. You're saying, I don't have a free will, Krishna. I will just go give it to you.
You take it, Sarvadharman Paditya.
And actually, if you surrender, then he will protect you.
Yes. Kaunteya, Kaunteya,
Janeti.
Pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashyati. Yeah.
Like Varshana Mataji was saying, that my mother used to say, when we put food on plate, from hand to mouth, it goes.
Mouth.
That distance is enough for a lot of things to happen. From hand to mouth, that's all.
They say, no. Yeah, they say there are many slips between the cup and the lip.
Where is that slip coming? Yeah, it was such an interesting thing. We were reading about, so in subtle ways, Krishna acts, and it's so, and the joy is, and the marvel of living life here in the material world and Krishna consciousness is to be connected to Krishna all the time. So next time there's a slip between the cup and the lip, then you remember this conversation that we had today. That this is Krishna. Oh, this is Krishna. Then you feel so close to Krishna. Like that, he's there everywhere. In fact, we were reading one of our classes. We were reading about the incarnations of the Lord, and he says that he takes incarnation in all the species of life. So then somebody said, "Oh, does he take incarnation in the ant also?" So it was like, yeah, the Shastras are saying that he incarnates in all the species of life. This means he must be incarnating in all the species of life. You don't know. And then one of the bhaktas was very alarmed with that statement. He said that, "Oh my goodness. So what if I step over Krishna when he's an ant? When he's an ant, what if I step over Krishna? I don't want to do that." So he was very, very alarmed with that. And then somebody in the class very nicely said that, do you ever notice that while you're walking, sometimes you stumble and fall down for no reason? He said, maybe you are about to step on Krishna as an ant and he didn't allow you to step over him. You fell out at 6 feet away somewhere. So yeah, just to bring Krishna into your life, like that is Krishna consciousness, to bring into your consciousness that Krishna is there everywhere, in every sphere of your life. And to end this class, I'd like to read from the Sarvadharman Parityajya words, which of course you all know, but I'm going to go into the purport where Prabhupada is talking about the process of surrender. So Simi Mataji were asking, how do I give up my free will, right? To Krishna. So from Hari Bhakti Vilas it says, Anukulyasya salkalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshisyati iti vishvaso goptitve varanam tatha atmanikshepaka karpanye sadvidha sharanagatihi. So sharanagati means to sharan mein ana, means to surrender to somebody. Shadvita, these are 6 steps or ways in which you have to do in order to surrender to the Lord. So anukulyasya sankalpas, what is saying? According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing this duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided, which is pratikulyasya varjanam. You're giving that up. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. Rakshisyati iti vishvaso. That Krishna is going to protect you from there. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. I repeat, one should always, not only in the bad times, even in the good times, one should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. The different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders into Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender into Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all the sinful reaction. Om Tat Sat. So that's surrender for you. And you know what? Whom do you love more? The one who surrendered to you or one who's rebelling? If you have 2 kids. Surrender. That's why if you surrender to Krishna, he loves us even more. So surrender basically means that, when life is good, everything is good, there's no problem, there's Krishna, is beautiful, I love, right? It's only when there are reversals in the life, is when that's the testing time. And that's the time then we don't have to rake our brains too much on, why did it happen? What's going to happen? If you can change something, change it. If you can't change it, then the worrying is not going to help you on that, right? You do whatever you have to do to get out of the decision, but don't over-endeavor and not overthink it, actually. Because we are surrendered to Krishna. I've done my duty. Now, whatever is there, Krishna will do according to, and whatever he gives to me. The main thing here is that whatever Krishna gives to me, I will accept it. That is the surrender part.
Bandhan is not, as human beings, sometimes these attachments, they just drag like anything. Like, for example, my granddaughter, see, I told you, and she's just in wheelchair only. So I still feel for her. But the only thing is what I'm doing, praying Krishna all day and night. That's it. I'm chanting. I'm just Narasimha prayer, this prayer, that prayer I'm doing. Any God, I just always tell night also I pray night Narasimha prayer. Whenever I wake up and the whole night I does that like that. And I say, just do whatever in your hands. That's all I can do. It's not in my hands anymore. Not his parents.
Correct. Actually, when there are problems, that's correct. That's correct. And thank you for sharing that. That's correct. Because also to keep in mind is that when we are in a problematic situation and we are going to Krishna and asking, like, Krishna, do this, please do this. Krishna, please do that. This means that you are already you have already thought of a solution to the problem and you're just asking Krishna to execute it. Okay. And what is the flaw in that? The flaw in that is that the solution has come from our intellect.
Yes.
And sometimes the problems require a more superior intellect. So, and who's the most superior?
Superior is Krishna.
So let him think.
Krishna only, that's all. There's
Let him
nobody.
do the thinking.
That's all. That's what some days I thought that, oh, we can do, doctors can do this too. But it's already more than 1 year, Mataji, 1.5 years. So she's active except walking. So what can I say? I said, it's not in our hands at all. My son and my daughter-in-law, they both feel, and now they just adjust to that. And they said, okay, God's will is this. That's
Right. And don't think that people who don't use legs are inferior in any way.
But at
They
her
can still
age,
excel in their studies. They can still excel. They can still work. I mean, I know I have a god brother whose wife is the earning member of the family. I mean, the husband also works, but he's an entrepreneur. So you know how entrepreneurs' lives can go up and down. But the wife was a consistent bread earner for the family. She was a project manager or program manager somewhere. She can't walk. She's in a wheelchair. And she's managing projects.
till
in
now
good
she wants
companies.
to go for medicine only. She's firm on that. And
There you
she's voluntary teaching to kids, from home, she's
There you
doing.
go.
She's
Yeah.
active in every aspect, and she's
Right. Right.
not
So do
doing
you,
one
so do
second
you know where do you know then where the problem is? The problem is in our mind.
attachments. That's
Not
what I
the
said.
attachment, not the attachment. We have got this feeling that this is the right way, only right way to live life.
But she's not thinking.
Any other way is not so good. Oh, this poor thing. I mean, she's enjoying. Maybe if she was not confined to the wheelchair, she might not have done all these classes, or all the help that she's doing, all the sukriti she's gaining. She might not have done it. And so this is what surrender is, to think that, Krishna, if something wrong has come into my life, tell me, what is it you're trying to teach me? And let me learn it. Give me the intelligence that I'll learn it quickly and the strength to handle it. That is all that you need to pray. But we forget that and we start raking our brains and we say like, okay, now let us do this and this can happen. Okay, let me ask Krishna, like, Krishna, can you do this?
I'm not asking him. I said, whatever you think, you do it.
Mataji, the best doctor in Tata Institute, Mumbai, he is on, I'm forgetting his name. I was just trying to remember his name. He is a cancer specialist. The first one who started operating on the cancer patients was him. And a special wheelchair is made so that which can go up and go down, and he can perform the surgery properly. And people want to go to him and not any other doctor. He's now 80 years old.
Send that information to Vindhyavali Mataji so you can share to inspire your granddaughter. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That we think we are the doer, we forget about the fifth, the sanction, the Krishna, and he can make you do anything, right? Ukam karoti vachalam pangum langyate grim. How does that happen?
She's always
Yat kripat aham bande.
He says, I will do it.
Bina kripa ke baad.
She's applying and she's expecting something in New York. If she gets that, that's all. Let's see what has. Anyway, all this.
Very nice class, Mataji.
So should we call it a day today? Yeah, take care of your gyanendriyas and your karmendriya. Don't let them run after the objects.
I really liked Mataji 1866, which you read.
It's a likable verse.
Surrender.
The verse.
I mean, this is how.
It's the verse of Bhagavad-gita. That's what he was saying. That's what he was telling Arjuna. Surrender.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Gopremanande Hari Hari Bol. Pranams. Thank you so much for joining here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Bol. Enjoy.
That is great, Mataji.
Yeah.